I'm newer to the space of digital marketing and I'm crushing a lot of my competitors, right? And one of the reasons is I invest in myself. I invest in mentors. I find men who are better than me at skills and abilities that I need, and I tag along with them and I pay them to show me how to get better.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Journey to Freedom podcast. I am Dr. B, your host, and just excited about today and all the wonderful things that we're going to be we talk about today. And today I have AD on the I don't know what we call this on the podcast, and we are doing 100 Black men during 2024, and so we are ending towards. Whenever you're watching this, we are ending towards this last. Month of 2024. So you might be watching this in 2028. I don't know. But whenever you're watching it, whatever you're seeing today, we have been able to talk to some really interesting folks. And that doesn't stop. And so I'm learning some things. I'm learning some clues. I'm getting, a whole bunch of insights. And AD, I don't know, if you've been able to watch any of the shows, but one thing that has come up for sure is where I'm finding Black men who have been stuck that feel like they're not enough, and for whatever the reasons are, whatever the various things are, a lot of them have said, in order for me to move forward, and this is later on in life, that would be earlier in life, but in order for me to get to where I'm at, I needed to see people like me at least close to something that I'm doing, which is so different. The other part is being, about family and being a dad and all the things that, have come up. I would say over 50% of the folks that I've interviewed lived in single parent homes when they were growing up and didn't have a lot of those father interactions and those things that we believe are so important about family. We talked about this, the systems and stuff that have been developing in our country over the last 400 years that have taken Black men out of the family. And just when we get going and they're in the family and we're doing really cool stuff, somehow that gets taken out. And so, I'm excited today as we're talking to AD and, he's in the tech world and, some simulators there. When I first I got my master's, it was in educational technology. And so I was teaching teachers how to use technology. And what was funny is I was on the education side. So we're creating, educational software and that kind of stuff. Even before the internet, we're using dial-up modems and all kind of stuff to create web pages. And that really wasn't so pretty back then. And so, it was ugly, but then everybody always asked me, well, are you a programmer? I'm like, no, I talk to people. I have a personality. I like people. Where I get the 80s the same way, right? It's really tough to be into computer science if you like people, because the rest of the people that are your colleagues have no desire to have conversations at all. I was doing I was doing some consulting at a Fortune 100 company, and I was working with their tech department in the software development company. And they were wondering why they weren't as productive as they possibly could be. And one of the things, email was a big thing. Everything was communication by email. When email was never developed as a communication tool, it is an information tool. And so like the C-suite folks with email, and it would just distract. And I found them about over $500,000 a year and just wasted time from answering email every time one came in. But the big thing that I found was when they were IMing each other, DMing each other, and they're sitting next to each other, right? And so they're literally, talking back and forth to each other instead of just turning their head and saying, hey, you got this, this, so much faster, but no, they wanted to type. They didn't want to have those conversations. And so it's just funny in that type. But 80's not that way, I promise you that. And so when we think about the Black men, the last guest that I had on was a psychiatrist or psychologist, I can't remember one of the two that he was, and really kind of talked about, he gave us steps and things that we can do in order to feel better about who we are. My goal and my prayer every day is, dear Lord, give me the ability, and the wisdom to do the things that you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others. And the third thing that I would say, AD, that I found out was everybody who's successful that's been on this podcast has had a desire to serve others and is currently working on serving others. And if I say this in every episode, it's success leaves clues. If you are not wanting to serve your fellow man, or your fellow community and the people around, you're not going to be super successful. It's just not. The success doesn't mean how much money you have.
Can I chime in?
Absolutely, please.
Okay. So I see it slightly differently. I'm not disagreeing with what you say at all. I think one of men's problems, and this is men holistically, not just Black men, right, is we focus too much on serving others and too little on serving ourselves, right? Okay. So I believe that selfishness is a virtue. Okay. And I talk to so many men who are riddled with anxiety. And again, part of what I do is I help men get into the tech space, right? Men who are already earning 100,000, 120,000, 150,000, but they're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, right? Doing some job somewhere, going into an office where they feel unappreciated, undervalued, right? They feel like the work they do doesn't matter. And I help them transition into tech, scale their income to $250,000, work 20 hours a week or less, so that they have the time to invest in themselves and their families, right? And I've even talked to some men who are on the verge of divorce, right? And the common denominator, the thing that I see every single time, is that they have a wife, they have some kids, and they love this woman. They adore this woman, but this woman does not want to be with them anymore. Why? Because she feels unsafe. Why does she feel unsafe? Because he brings his stress and his anxiety and all that stuff from work home with him, right? And there's the way the relationships, well, let me stay on this tangent. Have you ever been on an airplane, right? And it's you when you've got kids or whatever, and they say, hey, the mask comes down, put it on yourself first, then your children. Well, what men do is we wear our tiredness as a badge of honor. We say, hey, look, I'm broke, busted, and disgusted, but my kids, they're good. My wife, she's good. And it's like, but brother, you can't pour from an empty cup. You must take care of you in order to be able to take care of them. So I believe that men need to be more selfish. That is my main message. You must take care of you. And think about it. And I'm married now. I've been with my child's mother now for 14 years. We've been married for the past 4, I think. Yeah, going on 5. And I'm a smart man. We got married on Valentine's Day. So now we only got to celebrate 1, right? It's amazing. But that being said, what's best for her is what's best for me. If my confidence is at a 2, then she's married to a man whose confidence is 2 out of 10. But if my confidence is a 10, then she gets a husband whose confidence is a 10 out of 10. Does that make sense? So I must invest in me. I must pour into me. I must become as intelligent as I can, as well-spoken as I can, as confident as I can. I must develop the ability to tell people no and be okay with their disappointment. Otherwise, I become a people pleaser, right? So I don't think that service is bad or whatever. I just think that in a world that we live in today, we believe selfishness is bad, right? We believe self-preservation is bad. And I'm saying that no, you must put you first because no one else will. Even your woman will not put you first. She wants what she wants more than she wants what you want, right? And so by putting yourself first, being the best version of yourself, and then saying, hey, I treat me a certain way. I speak to myself a certain way. I will not allow you to treat me or speak to me in a way that I don't speak to myself, right? And holding them to a standard. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think I almost feel like we're saying the same thing, just at different sections, right? Yeah. Because when I think of, I need to best be I can so I can do what? So I can be able to serve, right? I need to be able to serve you, but if I'm not whole, I can't serve you. And I can't do it. Now, if I'm doing everything for myself so that I can take advantage of you, or so that I can get over on you, or so that I can, then I think that's where it kind of shifts. Because when I think like personal development, right? When this year I'm doing a goal setting seminar, saying that on December 31st, where goal setting, if you concentrate and focus only on your goals or on your goals, then you're going to struggle. And the reason you're going to struggle is because you're going to concentrate on outcomes instead of on things and abilities and things that you need to do in order to hit those goals, right? Because we spend so much time, I'm going to do this. Well, I can't, I'm going to make this amount of money this next year. I can't control that. I can control what activities I do in order to make the money. So that's kind of the goal setting seminar. But the number one thing on that in the 5 personal goals is personal development. How much of your time are you working on you so that you can be a better person in order to go do what? And I guess that's where I'm 1,000% agreeing with you. We have to be super selfish in making sure that we're taking care of us. We're taking care of the man that we're going to be, right?
So let me say this also.
Okay.
So I believe the best thing that you can give to anyone, man, woman, child, is an example of success, right?
Okay.
And so I'm newer to the space of digital marketing, and I'm crushing a lot of my competitors, right? And one of the reasons is because like I invest in myself. I invest in mentors. I find men who are better than me at skills and abilities that I need, and I tag along with them and I pay them to show me how to get better. And then I have friends who see me and say, hey, I see you doing this over here. Can you teach me? And the old me would just, yeah, no problem, man. You're a friend. I'm going to help you. But people don't pay attention to the things they don't pay for, right? Said otherwise, the more you pay, the more you pay attention. And so again, I am going for the world's most selfish man on earth award. Okay. Pour more into me than I do anybody else, more than I do in my wife, more than I do in my kids, more than I do in anything, more than I do in my business, because the better I become, the better everything else around me becomes, right? And so I think that all I need to do is pour into me, be an example of success, right? And I also believe in living an outstanding life. And what I mean by outstanding, have you ever seen somebody do something, Dr. B, and you say, wow, I didn't even know that was possible. I want to do that now, right? That is what I want to do for other men. And that's what I want to show other men how to do, right? And that's all you really need to do. And then when people who want to be around you, you're going to attract and you're going to pull those people. And then you say, okay, hey, guy, I'm going to let you hang around me and do, and kind of learn this. But I need to benefit from this relationship too, right? And I benefit from this relationship by you doing something for me, right? Whether that's helping me with my marketing campaign. And this is another reason why men are struggling in relationships with women, because they expect that a woman's job is just to be pretty and exist. And it's like, that doesn't do anything because she has no expectations from you. For me, if my woman follows my instructions. So if you're not following my instructions, you're telling me you don't want to be my woman. And it really is that simple, right? And what men don't understand is that femininity responds well to praise. I've been, and again, this is me. This is a man. I'll be 33 next year. Me and my wife were on the verge of divorce just 2.5 short years ago, right? And it was terrible. It was stressful, right? And like so many other men, I was trying to buy her happiness, but you can't do that because a woman cannot be pleased by her very nature. Okay, what does work is, hey babe, every morning when I wake up, I'm going to be at my desk at 8:30. Hitting my computer, hitting my laptop, getting this work done. I need you to make sure I have my coffee at that desk for me every morning at 8:30. She makes that coffee. She gives it to me. She walks in. I give her a kiss and I say, baby, I appreciate you. Thank you. I smack her on the ass and I tell her to leave. That is duplicatable. That is sustainable. That doesn't cost me a dime, right? But when you are with a woman who does not like you and you have no expectations of her, and you try to buy her happiness, that is unsustainable. Incredibly unsustainable.
Yeah, and then she's willing to do all those things and have the coffee there.
She doesn't get me the coffee because she just really wants to get me the coffee. She wants the praise that comes with what comes after getting me the coffee, which is the kiss, which is telling you you're beautiful and I appreciate you, and then spanking her on the ass and telling her to leave. That is what she wants. Right. And so it's just a matter of training the women to be to do the things that you need them to do and to be useful. Right. To be useful. So many men. And again, I'm not criticizing these men. These are me. We meet women who are, very pretty, very beautiful. And we just want the prettiest woman we can. And I would argue that a good looking woman does nothing for you other than get your little pee-pee hard. OK, she does nothing for you. Right. All she does is bring headaches and brings no kind of value. And I had a mentor I was talking to once. We were on a group coaching call. And this particular mentor is so wise. He would say, look, a woman's looks does not matter. It is how much she is doing for you that matters, right? And he's like, I don't care if she was a 2 out of 10 or a 3. I don't care what she looks like. As long as she's doing things for me, then she's useful and I appreciate her and I like her. Right. And then one guy was like, well, I don't like unattractive women. I don't know if I can do it. And he's like, look, if she's unattractive and you don't like her, that means she's not doing enough for you. Imagine you had a woman who every morning she made your food, every morning she rubbed your back, every morning she bathed you, every day she was doing everything that you asked for you, helping you get ahead, helping you make your dreams a reality, helping you in your finances, helping you in your business. How could you not love a woman like that? If you don't love that woman, it means she's not doing enough for you. If she's not doing enough for you, it's because you haven't given her enough instructions. It means your leadership is flawed.
Okay. And then on the other side of it, giving back. So you're giving back to her in the same types of ways, right? I mean, I'm just.
So to me,
what's her responsibility or your responsibility to her, I guess?
So my responsibility is to become the best version of me that I can. Okay. Mm-hmm. She benefits by being in proximity to me, right? I've never met Jeff Bezos, right? But if I ever did, he doesn't owe me anything. His net worth is here. My net worth is not there. Okay. His network is here. My network is not there. Jeff Bezos doesn't need to do anything for me to add value to me other than let me be in his proximity. Would you agree?
Yeah, agree.
That's it. They get to be in my proximity. Now, me personally, and I would say that this is to my detriment sometimes, I'm generous. I'm a very generous man. So much so that I've had to learn how to dial it back, right? I've had to learn how to dial it back. And I always tell men today, like, I don't care what a woman wants. I care what a woman earns, right? And I'm willing to give a woman the world, but she has to be willing to earn it, right? So me personally, one of my statements my father told me when I was young, and it helps me to this day, I don't have to do anything but stay black and die. That's it. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to come home. I don't have to go to work. I don't have to wash my ass. I don't have to do anything. I get to do all the things that I want to do. Are there consequences that might happen if I don't do certain things?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Right? So I don't have to do anything for a woman. But what men don't understand and where they go wrong is they try to please their women, right? I believe, this is just my belief. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying this is what I believe. I believe women were put here to serve, right? I believe women are here to serve me, right? And that does not mean they're beneath me, because I've had people ask me that before. When I go to, like, I'm a little bougie, I'm classy. I like to go to nice restaurants. And the difference between a Chili's and like a Ruth Chris or a nice restaurant is the level of service. They exist. The service exists to enhance your experience. And we don't have to talk about tipping culture, but when I have a really, 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 really good experience, I don't have a problem with tipping. I enjoy tipping and it makes me want to come back, right? And so I think that that's how we have harmonious relationships. As a man, your job should be to be on your purpose and to become the best version of you. And then you recruit support around you. They help. You say, baby, I am so appreciative of you. Thank you so much. Because of you this year, I was able to do $100 million. And I know I wouldn't have been able to do as much if it wasn't for you. So for that reason, where do you want to go? Let's take a trip. What kind of car do you want to drive? Right? It's reciprocal. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
That's how I believe the relationship should go.
Gotcha. Well, and I guess on the other side of it, like you're saying, you need to be the best version of you. Does she have to become the best version of her? And then how does she do that? If so. So,
okay. I believe I try to be very non-judgmental because I understand that there's laws and there's principles in everything. There's things that if you do this, your relationship will get better. And there's things that if you do this, they will get worse, right? So I don't like to do should. I don't should on myself. I tell people not to should on themselves. Mm-hmm. So I try not to use that word. However, I believe that it is my job to become the best version of myself, right? I also believe that people just become better by associating with me. That's always been the case. People get around me, they start making more money. They start having better self-awareness. They start looking at themselves differently, right? Because I can hold a mirror up to them and say, hey, bro, I can tell you're an anxious person. I can tell you don't like yourself very much. I can tell that because whatever happens to us that gets a large emotional reaction about us, that tells something about us, right? Mm-hmm. And most people don't sit and take the time to examine themselves, right? I'll give you an example. I had this relationship with a young lady, and I don't recommend it. It was like a sugar baby relationship. Do not recommend it. And one of the things that a past mentor of mine would do, he would give a chick a credit card and he would say, hey, this is yours now, right? And you're my girl. Your job is to make sure there's no other men in your phone, right? So I saw him do it. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna try it, right? And so I made this exchange with the young lady. And the next time I saw her, she gave the card back. So she was kind of like, I felt rejected, right? And I was upset for a week, right? And my wife knew about it. Like, it was, I don't lie, I don't hide, I don't believe in those things. I believe I'm doing what I want to do, and I'm courageous. And if you don't like it, then you don't need to be here, right? And so she gave it back. I'm huffing, I'm puffing, I'm upset, and I'm doing some journaling, right? That's an activity that started within the last year that has really, really helped me. I highly recommend it to people. I started doing some journaling, and I realized the thought was, she doesn't want me. That was the thought that was running through my head over and over. I wasn't conscious of it, but once I realized it, it was like, okay, why? And I sat and I thought, like, there's many of women who don't want me. Why do I care that this one does not want me, right? And then what I realized after talking to one of my mentors, who's also a therapist, right? He's a male therapist, and he said that, like, it typically goes back to our childhood. And then I recalled in my childhood, my mother, so I grew up living with my mom a little bit, living with my dad a little bit, living with my aunt a little bit. Like, I was all over the place. Not a whole lot of stability when I was growing up, right? In terms of living. And I recall my mother would say, hey, I'm going to come pick you up so we can go see a movie. I'm going to come pick you up. I'm going to take you back to my house. I would be excited. And she wouldn't show, right? And so the younger version of me used to think she doesn't want me. Does that make sense? And so that's why the adult version of me had such a visceral reaction. Right now, I may not have consciously known that's why I had the reaction, but if I'm looking at myself objectively, and this one woman expressing the idea that she does not want me, and I'm upset for weeks, which is out of my character. I'm a happy-go-lucky, friendly person. Why am I acting like this? It's because the child in me, like the childhood wound in me, was reactivated. Does that make sense? That has to be what that's telling me. Even if I don't want to admit that about myself, that's what the reality is telling me. Right. And so now that, and this young lady and I, we're still friends to this day. She's awesome. She's amazing. I have nothing negative to say about her. Right. And she comes to my birthday parties. Her and my wife know each other. They take pictures together. It's great. I really enjoy it. And I looked at her and I say, hey, I appreciate that. You allowed me to become a better version of myself. I didn't realize what was going on at that moment. Right. But this is what I mean when I talk about self-acceptance in men. Like, you have to be willing to go through these difficult things, say, hey, that happened. I had a visceral emotional response about it. I need to now go and do that inner work and figure out why, what happened. And then 99% of the time, it goes back to your childhood. 99% of the time, it goes back to your childhood. Yeah. And so you have to say, okay, as a child, this must have happened somewhere, or this must be a recurring theme that happened in my childhood, and then let me go back and do the mental work of, okay, what happened? What were some of the most traumatic things that happened in my childhood? Why did I feel this way? And you today rationally, I understand that my mom would call and say she's coming, but then other people would be like, I don't want her to come, and so they wouldn't let her in, and so I wouldn't know. The adult me can understand that, but the emotional child, like this, the same way that I felt, the same sadness that I felt as a child, I feel today. The same way I felt angry as a child, I feel it today, right? Okay. It's the same emotions, if that makes sense, right? And so I'm at this point, I'm ranting. I don't even know what I was talking about, but these are the things that I help men talk about, right? Because to lead a woman, your question was, does she need to become the best version of her? What I will say is, if a woman is with a man, your woman knows what's important to you based on what you focus on, what you talk about, and what you do. If you are always focused on becoming the best version of yourself, she will then women will tend to emulate what they want you to like about them. So if I say I like a woman who's focused on becoming the best version of herself, and she likes me, she's going to be focused on becoming the best version of herself. Right. I also look at it like a sports team, right? Like, you could be the number one quarterback for the Cowboys this year, but it's what have you done for me lately type of league, right? Mm-hmm. If Dak Prescott does not perform, he gets cut. I tell my women it is the exact same way. If you decide to stop performing, you get cut. Now, what does performing look like? It means making sure that you are the best version of yourself. If there's something that's going on, you have a shortcoming, no problem. Let's go get a book. If you're starting to gain weight, let's go get you a gym membership, right? Why is it? It's not fair that you continue to get this escalating version of me and I get the same version of you I got last year. Baby, that's depreciation. Inflation is going up. And if there is a woman who's willing to do more for me than what you are, and she's willing to do it with a smile, Dr. B, I like grateful women. I like women who practice gratitude. I like women who have systems in place to keep themselves looking good and feeling good, right? So for me personally, yes, she needs to become the best version of herself. She needs to actively be working on it, but that's because that's what I expect, if that makes sense. And I don't even necessarily, I don't ever expect it's going to be to the level that I'm at. I don't expect she's going to read as many books as I do or work out as much as I do, but like, you need to be doing something. I do not need to see us have a conversation or something happen and it gets this big visceral reaction from you. And then 2 years later, that same event gets the same big visceral reaction from you. That means you've not done the inner work. That means you're just repeating things over and over again. You're not becoming the better version of yourself, which is fine. You don't have to do anything. But my woman follows my instructions. So if you're not following my instructions of doing what is best for you, then that means you're telling me you do not want to be my woman. That's fine. I'll go out and I'll find somebody else. Hell, I'll be alone. I'm not lonely. A lot of men are lonely, which is meaning loneliness is a lack of connection, right? Meaning you don't know how you feel because you don't understand your emotions. I know exactly how I feel. I understand all my emotions because I journal. I've learned about emotions. I've learned about emotional awareness. There's only 4 or 5 emotions that we ever freaking have ever throughout life. All you need to understand is what is that emotion trying to tell me about my thoughts and my feelings. Once you understand, and Dr. B is crazy, once you understand what an emotion is trying to tell you, it goes away. It ceases to exist. You don't feel it anymore. It's almost like when you're hungry and you can identify that your body's telling you you're hungry, then you eat, hunger goes away. Same thing with emotions. It works the exact same way. And so I'm in my soapbox there because I could literally go on and on.
No, what I guess I'm trying to get at is are you determining what that person's or that lady's best version of themselves is, or are they part of the determination of what that is? Or if you just said, okay, you're looking a little heavy, so you need to go to the gym. I've decided that for you instead of them going, yeah.
That's a good question. I like to let them decide. I do like to let them decide. However, women are indecisive by nature. They just are. Or it'd be better to say they're less decisive than what men are, right? Like women, I have another mentor who was telling me like women's minds think like they take small things and make them bigger. They have a lot of options in their head. This is why when you go into a woman's closet, she has all these damn clothes. And when you're trying to set up a date, it's like, it takes an hour because they have to figure out what they want to wear and have to try on 3 to 4 different things, right? Whereas if you go into an established gentleman's closet, it's like, okay, I've got the black suit, I've got a blue suit, I've got a gray suit. I've got 3 options, right? I've got sneakers, I've got dress shoes, I've got streetwear. Like it's very simple. So femininity takes small things and makes them big. Masculinity takes big things and makes them small. So we simplify things. So again, I like to let her choose, right? But in my experience, I end up having to tell them, right? So me personally, this is just me. I have a very big ego. I'm not saying that other men should think this. I want the best looking woman in the room. No matter what room I walk into, I want mine to look the best. Now, that may not always be the case, right? And obviously, I may think my woman is a 10. You may think she's a 3, right? That's your opinion. That's our opinion. So, but that's what my ego wants. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself and say that that's not what I want, right? So that being the case, I communicate that to my wife, right? I say, hey, I want the baddest chick in the room. And so when she goes to the gym, she'll come home and say, hey, daddy, I did leg day. She loves to call me daddy. She said, hey, daddy, I did leg day today, and I just did it for you. I didn't even really want to do it. I just know you want the baddest chick in the room, and I'm working hard for you. And I say, baby, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you want to become who I want to be.
Do you say that to her on the other side of it? I went to the gym and I did this because I want to look the best for you, or does that?
No, I want to look the best for me.
Okay.
I want to look the best for me. I don't. Yeah. So okay. So let's talk about that now. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'll be 60 in March.
You look great. Congratulations. I
Well,
would
thank
never.
you.
So, I was talking to one of my friends. I don't know if you. I asked your age. I don't know if you guys did this back in the day. I was talking to one of my friends a few months ago, and we were talking about how like what life was like in like middle school or high school, right?
Mhm.
And we were talking about like what cologne would you wear, or what how would you dress? And it was like, oh shit, whatever the girls like, that's how I'm gonna dress, right? If they like this, if they like Nike, I'm gonna have Nike. If they like, polo, I'm gonna wear polo. And that is a common strategy for young men in middle school or high school. Whatever they say they like, if she likes Nike, if Sarah likes Nike and I want Sarah to like me, I'm gonna wear Nike. I'm gonna make sure she sees me in it. But it's as backwards. That's not how it works, because at that point, what you're doing is you're letting her lead the relationship. What I believe in is effortless relationships. And how you have an effortless relationship is you have to be with a woman who believes you are the best that she can do, right? Dr. B, this is my belief, and I cannot prove it, but this is my belief. I believe that there are women out there who like you exactly how you are. They like the way you walk. They like the way you talk. They like the way you smell. They like the way you joke. They like the way that you carry yourself, and there's nothing you can do because they just like men like you, period. So what I would suggest is wear what you want to wear, do what you want to do, look how you want to look, and there's somewhere out there's a woman who likes you, and you should only entertain the women who like you.
Okay. I'm not disagreeing with that. I guess what I'm just trying to find is where there's commonality, or where there's like I think of of my what am I trying to say here? So I think of relationships, and should there be fear or is there love? And I believe there's love in your relationship, absolute 1,000%. And I think you guys get along very well. Mm-hmm. But I think what others will hear on this or perceive on this is that she's staying with you out of fear. Like if she doesn't do what you tell her to do, there's a fear that you're not going to be there anymore, and she wants what you have to give her. And I don't know if I would love a relationship that's based on fear, and I don't think there is in your relationship. I'm just curious how that.
Let's expound upon that. Let's unpack that, right? Yeah. So the basis of respect is fear. You must have fear in order to have respect. Even so, the reason why two men who don't know each other, who pass each other on the street, will not disrespect one another is because we understand that there's always the low intimidation of violence. There's a chance that violence can happen. If I disrespect you or you disrespect me, violence could happen. So for that reason, we avoid violence, right? Women are a bit different, right? So the reason why a lot of men, and I've talked to so many men who are in relationships where their wife doesn't want to have sex with them anymore, right? And I think that is one of the most pathetic positions to be in, right? And I don't say pathetic as in judgmental, as in, I would feel pathetic being there. I was there. It did not feel good. Why would a woman stop having sex with a man who made a commitment to her? It's because she feels unsafe. Okay. Do you know why she feels unsafe? It's because she doesn't respect you. Do you know why she doesn't respect you? It's because you will not walk away. She knows she can do anything, say anything, and you will still be there, right? So a woman can only respect you to the degree that you respect yourself, which is why I talk so much about self-love and self-respect. She cannot respect you if you do not respect yourself, right? And again, the basis of respect is fear. If a woman knows that she can just curse you out, put her hands on you, throw things, and you'll still be there for her tomorrow, what that means is she has no fear of losing you. She has no standard to live up to. Would you agree with that? Okay, so there must be fear. There must be fear. And I'm not saying fear of violence. I don't believe in putting hands on her or anything. But what I'm saying, fear that she will lose access to you. Because without consequences, why would they stop? It's funny, my oldest son is 13, right? And she doesn't really do this anymore, but in the past she would be so frustrated because she's like, I'll tell him things, he doesn't listen, he doesn't follow instructions, he doesn't listen. And I'm like, that's because there are no consequences. All you do is tell him what to do, and then if he doesn't do it, you complain and you bark at him, and if he does do it, you still complain and you bark at him. So there's he has no reason to do what you say, right? What you should do instead is tell him what you want him to do. When he does it, say thank you. I appreciate it. What gets praised gets repeated, right? And when he doesn't, don't bark and bitch at him. Just don't praise him. And then he'll want the praise and he'll start doing things again. So he now has a level of respect for her, right? Because he understands that he could lose her praise. He could lose her goodwill. So that's what I'm saying. Fear, in order to have respect, there must be an underlying piece of fear, right? Just like I have a mentor who I pay this guy several thousands of dollars a month. And I remember our very first call, it was supposed to be like 3:00. I didn't hear anything. I was really upset. Really upset. But I was like, and then he hit me 2 or 3 hours later and he's like, hey, my bad. I had a call that went long and I was upset. I was furious. But I knew, okay, this guy is somebody. He's going somewhere. I need this guy. I'm not going to take my anger out on him because then out of fear that he won't mentor me anymore. Does that make sense? So
it does. Well, and when I think about fear, I think of fear and anxiety as two different things. And so when I think of fear, I think that fear is a real and present danger that could harm you right now. That's what true fear is. Anxiety is a real and present danger of, or a thought of a danger of something that could happen. Because anxiety is about, you're worried about what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
So when I think of that, so it's an anxiety that we have, and we feel that absolutely, in what you're saying. I guess when I think of the covenant of marriage, or I think of, the commitment you make in marriage, and what it sounds like, and I could be wrong, and I want you to help explain it to me, is if I'm married to you, and I have this fear that you may leave all the time, or this anxiety that you may leave all the time, then what, or if I get sick and I don't look as good anymore, that you may leave, what's that commit? How does that commitment work with you, or why marry somebody if there isn't really a commitment?
Yeah, we're gonna. I promise we're gonna need a bunch of episodes to talk about this.
All right, love it.
I am married. We are married. We've been married for a while, and I don't regret it. But me and her have both talked. We will never get married again. Like if this does not work, she's not getting married to anyone else. I'm not getting married to anyone else. I also believe that marriage makes relationships worse. Okay. The way that marriage is done today, because think about it. Let's say you're a professor at a college, right? And you're tenured. Okay. Let's say I'm an up and coming professor at a college. I will not be tenured for 20 years from now. Who has an incentive to work harder, me or you?
You do. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
Okay. So imagine there's two men who are married, right? This woman knows this man is never going to leave, no matter what she says or does. This woman knows this man respects himself. I must treat him a certain way, or I will lose access to him. Which one has a higher? Which one has a higher motivation to be useful and be respectful?
I guess it depends on how you. I mean, if there is a commitment and people are of their word and they're committed to, and no matter what's going to happen. Like for me, I'm committed to my wife no matter what happens. Right? That's my belief system and how I believe. So I think I'm a very good man because of it. But I think she's a very good woman because of it. But there's not this fear. I mean, there's not a fear that I would leave for whatever reason. I mean, there would have to be some pretty intense. I don't know if I have a worse marriage than anybody else, but I believe in marriage and I believe in what it stands for, because I don't think we can all be at our best all the time. I think we strive for it, but and I think a lot of that comes from age too. It comes from going, wait a minute, my body don't work like it used to work, right? And so I can only be the best version of me based on who I am right now.
I've seen, so we've been to like marriage counseling and stuff like that, and we would sit around and watch these people much older than us, because we were in our 20s when we were doing this, much older than us, who were like talking, and they'd be like, yeah, she slipped and fell and I had to bathe her for a whole 2 months and I had to wipe her ass. And that brought us closer together, right? So for me, I tell my wife this: there's no woman who can get me to leave you alone other than you, right? It is not about sickness or anything about the only thing. There's two things that will have me in a relationship, and I'm so clear about this. And I used to be like you. I used to be like, I'm not leaving no matter what. This is what it, and it did not serve me. It was to my detriment. There's two things. One, disrespect. Like if we don't have respect, I don't have anything. I don't care about your love. Damn your love. If you're not going to treat me with respect, then I don't care about your love, right? You care about love. I don't. I care about respect. Okay. Two, not following instructions, not being useful to me, right? So, and I don't believe there's any such thing as a neutral relationship. Every relationship is doing something to me, and you're either making me better or you're making me worse. If you are an anxious person and you're riddled with anxiety, and I'm spending time with you, I'm going to become a more anxious person. Again, if it is my job to become the best version of myself, I have two options. I can either leave you alone, okay, or I can say, hey, I can see you're riddled with anxiety. I don't think that's what's best for you. I don't think the best version of you acts that way. Here's a book. Here's a movie. Here's a something. I need you to watch this. If you don't watch that, what you're functionally telling me is you'd rather be anxious and you'd rather stay that way. Fine. I'm going this way because that does not lead me to the best version of myself. That is who you are and that's where you want to stay. That's cool. I'm going to love you from a distance, right? And so if a woman is not a benefit, then she is a liability. There is no in between, right? And my wife works on Excel and spreadsheets and things like that, right? So I'll put together a spreadsheet and I'll just do the best I can. It doesn't look all that great. And then I'll show it to her and she'll like, baby, step out the way. I got this. You don't. And so that's a benefit to me. And what does that make me do? Is make me say, damn, I love this one. She is so useful. I can't imagine letting her go. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense.
It's a reciprocal relationship in that way.
Yeah, I guess where I just see it is the other side of it is now she's doing the spreadsheet and you say, baby, let me do this because you ain't doing a good job at it. And then she says, I love you because you're helping me out at the same, and I don't think it should be equal. I mean, there's different roles that each person plays. And I think that's super important. It's just I guess where I would struggle with would be giving my wife instructions. Now I ask her to do stuff and I appreciate when she does it and she asks me to do stuff, but I just don't see, the demand, me needing to demand anything, as a result.
Instruction might be a strong word, but whether you say instruction or a task or I tell her to do something or ask, it doesn't matter, right? I'm making a request that you do something, and I think that she needs to trust that I would never have her do something that would put her in a worse place. That I think that I need her to trust that I have her best interest in mind. Okay. Right now, are you ready to get super controversial? You ready for technical? So, I believe that men are better off with multiple women rather than one. It's a lot easier to have a relationship with two women or even three women than it is to have a relationship with one. Because when you have a relationship with one, you're more likely to be taken for granted, especially in this new day and age where so many couples, both husband and wife, are working from home. We were not meant to spend this much time together. Our ancestors did not do this. Men spent all day with men. Women spent all day with women and children. As the children got older, some of the boys, they would go out to start hanging with the men, right? And so, like, we got to the point where it's like she would tell me she loves me and I would say I love you. And it doesn't mean anything because we say it so much. There's I know she does, but there's no feeling. There's no real feeling involved. We're saying it and it's just empty words, right? But when I go on a business trip and I'm away for a week and I come back, now she's had time to miss me. Now she can't keep her hands off me. Now, and so you're talking to a young man who went from a boring, sexless relationship where we were on the verge of divorce to now she wants to bring me women. Now she can't keep her hands off of me. We're having sex any and every. If I'm at the point now where I'm like, baby, I'm stressed. I need you to come do something for me. Yes, daddy. Anything you want. And it happened after introducing other women, right? And so it's just easier. I've been on both sides. Men are polygynous by nature. Now, it does take a level of skill. So most men are not skilled enough to do that. And also most men like to lie. And most men like to cheat. I do not believe in that. I believe in being upfront. I believe in telling her, hey, this is me. This is who I want. This is what's best for me, right? And it also gives a woman a reason to do better, a reason to compete, right? Because there's so many people out there. Perfect example. Are you familiar with Jonathan Majors, the actor?
What does he play?
I think he was in Creed. He was in man, big buff guy. Really,
Yeah.
really. Okay.
Yeah, I know he is. Yeah.
Okay. So he had a debacle, right? Where I guess he was married. It was so interesting, so funny. And again, I try not to judge, but this shit is just funny. So he was dating a white woman, right? And there was footage, I don't know if it's footage or if it was an audio. I think it was audio of him saying to her, "You're supposed to be," he's black, right? He's saying, "You're supposed to be my Coretta Scott King." Right, you're supposed to be like, how you're saying that to a white woman, that you sound ridiculous, right? And then footage came out of her chasing him around the streets. I think it was New York, and like she was running and hitting him, punching him, and he didn't want to put his hands on her, so he's running away, right?
Mhm.
And the whole world sees this. So then, I think that footage comes out. He loses all his big movie roles, right? And so, would you agree that that woman did not love, honor, or respect that man? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Run around the street trying to hit him. Absolutely.
So then Megan Good, I'm assuming you know who Megan Good is. Megan Good sees him and says, "Hey, this is a man he's a star. He's here. He's down on his luck. I'm going to come in. I'm going to love this man and I'm going to heal him." Right? One woman's trash was another woman's treasure. Does that make sense? And so if Jonathan Major had been like, "I'm not going to leave this woman no matter what she does," it would have been to his detriment. And two, Megan Good would have never had the opportunity to come over and do the job that a supportive woman is supposed to do, which is be supportive, right? And when I say supportive, I mean in anything. If I say, "Hey, I want to go to the moon," that's your job to support me. If I say, "Hey, I want to put on a bunch of muscle and I need 200 grams of protein in a day," you're supposed to support that. If I say I want a threesome, you're supposed to support that. And I don't care what the goal is. And I might even be doing the wrong thing. It may even end poorly. But if I'm committed to you, then I'm expecting your support. And here's how I know. Here's why this really is logged into my brain. Hitler, right? By so many people is deemed the worst person to ever live, right? Hitler, when he went down, his wife went down with him. He committed suicide. She did too. If Hitler could have a woman who's supporting him to the end, then why can't I?
Of course you can. I mean, it's that, yeah.
Right? That means that she genuinely liked that man, and he did terrible, heinous things. I just want to threesome every once in a while. That's it. I don't want to kill anybody.
Yeah. So now, but on the other side of it, can she do the same thing? Do you think that she should have other men that?
Okay, so here there's a two-part answer to that. One, she can do what she wants. I cannot control her. She's her own person. She's a human being. I cannot control her. I can only control me, right? Yeah. I would say that if women are being honest, so this is like a contrarian conversation. It's like, okay, well, they can do it. Well, so you can do it. So can they? The answer is yes, she could. One, she just wouldn't be my woman. Right. Okay. But two, if I've had the same conversation with so many women, I'll say, "Hey, look, 2025 is your year, right? You can have it be any way you want, exactly how you want. You can have the body you want. You can drive the car you want. You can live in the place you want to live. You can have the hobbies you want. It's your year. You can sleep with as many men as you want to sleep with in 2025. How many men do you want to sleep with? How many men do you want to be with in 2025? They all tell me one. They all tell me one. Do you know why? It's because women inherently see men as a threat. Okay. So backstory. I have a friend and he and his wife, they date women together and things like that, right? He's a very private person, so he'll never be on social media or anything like that. And I remember talking to his wife one day and I asked her, I said, "Why are women so fearful?" Right. And fearful really isn't even the word. They focus on certainty and comfort. That's really what it is, right? They are creatures of certainty. And I said, "Why are women so fearful?" And she was like, "Look, imagine you are a black belt at Taekwondo. You've been training since you were 5, and now you're 35, and you can kick some butt and everything. And imagine doing all of that, knowing that the average guy walking down the street who's never trained in any fucking thing can just come beat you up, beat you over the head, and take you away. Mm-hmm. How would that make you feel?" I said, "I live in fear." She said, "Exactly. That's how women are. That's what we think about all the time. We're focused on our safety because we know that a man could be of great benefit or he could really harm us, right?" And so to me, let's say there's so many good men on earth and so many bad men. The more men that a woman interfaces with, the more likely she is to run into a bad one, a dangerous one, right? And so that's just not wise. It's just not smart, right? It does not benefit them. Now, for me, adding women to my vicinity does, because they are of support, right? Like a lot of men go and chase sex and things like that, but like sex is neither here nor there. Like there's nowhere a woman goes and leaves her vagina behind. She can't. It always comes with her. Okay, so sex is neither here nor there. For me, it's like, what value are you adding? Like, what are you doing to where I couldn't do it for myself, or you've taken it off my plate, and now my day, my life, my lifestyle is a lot easier, and now is going to make me want to reciprocate and say, baby, thank you. You were such a blessing. How could I ever get here without you? Right. So short answer is yes, she could. But the other part of that is I don't think a smart woman does. I don't think a smart woman wants that. I think it's just a non-contrarian argument to say, okay, well, things should be fair or equal. And at the same time, a woman does not want a man who is equal to her, and men are not equal to women, right? We're different, right? Like Jeff Bezos was divorced, and now he's remarried, right? Women are hypergamous by nature, which means that they want men who are better than them. If she's 5 feet tall, she wants a man who's 6 feet tall. If she makes 50,000 a year, she wants a man who makes 100,000 a year. So there's no way that you want this man who's better than you, which is fine. Want what you want. There's nothing wrong with wanting what you want. But then to think he's going to be your equal, no, ma'am. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. If I'm better than you, right? And I don't mean as a person or a spirit, as a soul. I'm talking about my individual characteristics. You have so much confidence. I have more. You have so much decisiveness in your body. I have more. You have so much whatever we're talking. I have more. So, and the fact that you're here and you're with me and you want to be here means that you are attracted to me. And women are only attracted to men who they deem as higher value than them. So if I'm higher value than you, I'm not your equal. I'm not going to let you make decisions for me. I'm going to make decisions for myself, right? And I'm going to allow you to tag along because I appreciate you and I love you, right? But we are not equal. You don't go, there's not many companies with 2 CEOs. There's one person in charge, and then there's other people who report to them. I'm the leader. You are the follower. Now, I will take your input because your input is important to me. If you see a threat or if you see an opportunity that I don't, please bring it to me, right? But at the end of the day, I decide where the ship is going. And if you want to be in a relationship with a man where you decide where the ship is going, that's fine. But ultimately, you can't respect a man like that because now you're making the decisions and he's not. And when a woman is making decisions, what that leads to is stress and anxiety, right? Because she's in control. And my wife will come home from work and she'll be like, look, I've had a hard day. I don't want to make decisions anymore. Please just tell me what to do. That is who they are in their real nature. They want to be guided. They want to be led, and they just want to know that you're going to guide them in the right direction, right? And so to me, a woman's job, and I don't think they do a very good job of this, especially when they're doing it by themselves, is to use their discernment and to pick a man who's going to lead them to a better version of themselves, right? But that's not typically what they do. They typically pick men who they are comfortable with, right? There's one of 2 ways a relationship can go. Either the man likes the woman more or the woman likes the man more, okay? I would argue that the relationships always work better when the woman likes the man more, okay? Because the person who is, there's the pursued, and there's the pursuer, and there's the pursued, right? The pursuer gets to be with the person they love. The pursued gets to be with the person who loves them. It's different. One position is not better than the other. The pursuer gets to feel the ups and downs and the emotions of the emotional roller coaster of being with the person they love. The pursued, again, they get the undying loyalty of the pursuer. Right, so it's different. This person gets all of the emotional affection or whatever. This person doesn't have much of that, but they get the loyalty and the support of those that loves them, if that makes sense, right? And so when a woman is the pursued, what that means is that a man is looking up to her, like I'm chasing after you, right? I'm looking up to you. And what that ultimately does, it makes her feel good a little bit, but what it ultimately does is it also makes her feel safe. Because like, why are you willing to bend and contort and do all these things for me when I'm not doing much for you? Like, it's like, why is it so easy for me to get things out of you? Like, think of this example. Let's say that one day you're sitting at home, you and your wife, and a guy comes up. How tall are you?
6'1".
Okay, you look tall. I'm 5'4". Let's say a guy like 5'4". Now I got some muscles on me, but let's say a scrawny guy, 5'4", walks up to your home and he says, "Hey, Dr. B, look, your wife, she's beautiful. Your home, this is beautiful. I want both of them. Get down or lay down and get out the way." Let's say there's two universes. In one universe, you cower in fear and you say, "Okay, no problem." The second universe, you say, "Hey, get off of my lawn before I shoot you." Okay.
Mhm.
Either way, your wife is there and she sees both interactions. Which one do you think is going to make her feel more safe or less safe?
Of course, the one where I take where I where I take it for get off my lawn. Of course.
Exactly. So you make her feel safe in that interaction. Therefore, she's attracted to you. Okay. So now instead of it being a man walking to your house, now imagine it's just you and your wife. Two scenarios. In one scenario, she can come into a room, she can cry, she can do a bunch of things, and then she knows that eventually she can get you to bend and break. She can say, "Hey, I want to go to Disney World," and you're like, "No, we're in work mode right now. We're not going to Disney World." Right? If she knows that she can cry and use tears and emotions, and but you said it, if she knows she can use that to then get you to change your mind, she feels unsafe because that's like the guy walking up, and instead of using violence, she's using emotion. If she can then say, "Oh, well, you said we could," and you're like, "Look, hey, no, you're being emotional." I said no. Now go sit down. That's in the moment, she's gonna be like, "I hate this." But in the long term, it makes her feel safe and makes her respect you. Does that make sense? A man can only say no, go sit down, if he is in the position of the pursued. The pursuer cannot tell the pursued no because they fear they're going to lose their love. Does that make sense?
No,
So
I
that's
totally hear what you're saying, and what I'm hearing you say is the thing that women want most is safety.
yes, and safety comes in many forms, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Easiest way to see it is to be willing to say no and then stand on it and be okay with her being emotional. And what I tell my wife is, I'm not in control of your emotions. You are. If you are upset, that's not my problem. That's your problem. Now, we've got books that we can read and I can kind of help you get over it. But that is, at the end of the day, it is not my job to make you happy. You cannot make another person happy. That is an inside job. That is your job. Just like it's not your job to make me happy. That is my job. So you being emotional, I can comfort you. We can talk about it. And then after that, if you still want to be emotional, at this point, what you're telling me is you're choosing to be emotional. I'm going to leave you alone because I don't need to be around a negative Nancy. Okay. That's your thing. And then what she learns is, oh, okay, in order for me to really get his time and attention, I have to work on keeping myself in a positive mental state. Yes, you do. The same way that I need to.
We all do. Yeah, we all have to work at that.
Yep, exactly.
100%.
So how many times have you met a man who was working to keep his wife happy?
Yeah, yeah, all the time. I mean, you meet people all the time. And yeah, you're right. But those are your
men. The most miserable men on this earth are the men who say, "Happy wife, happy life." Most miserable, in my opinion, and I've been there.
Gotcha. Well, I believe happy wife, happy life, but I don't think I have to go do things to try to make her happy. I'm not spending my days because of who we are together. We make each other happy. There's no way I'm spending my day trying to go, okay, what can I do to make you happy today? That would just be a waste of a whole lot of time. Now, I want to do stuff because I love her and I want her to be happy, but trying and working at it and just to make somebody happy, let's make our lives work together so that we can go enjoy this thing. I want to, like you said, we need to have some more episodes because this is really
I told you.
I know, because we didn't even talk. We didn't get to talk about kids. We didn't get to talk about identity. We didn't get to talk about a whole lot of stuff. And so, what would you want to just go ahead and I want you to end the show. I also want you to come on Sunday too. So I'll give you the information for Sunday as we have this conversation. But what would you want to say that would for the men that are on the program, for the folks that are subscribing to this, because our journey to freedom is how do we become free within ourselves so that we can move on and become great, right? Because that's the goal. We say that women the number one thing for women is to be safe. I think for the men is to be great, right? I think the number one thing that we strive for, whatever that looks like, whatever that means. What would you say the number one goal for men to be is?
I say men need to focus on these three things:
Okay.
self-love, self-love, self-respect, self-acceptance. Right. And if I had to throw a fourth thing in there, which is very, very, very important, it's gratitude.
Gratitude and everything.
Right.
But with the self-love, self-respect, and self-acceptance, what is that for? Why do we want to do that?
Let's because what people don't understand, and this is something that I tell myself, I don't always meet this standard, but I tell myself that nothing that anyone ever does on this earth has anything to do with me. Nothing. When I go out and I like to get massages. That's my happy place. That is how I focus on my breathing and my gratitude and all these other things. And when I go, the ladies are like, "Oh, your body's so nice. It's so nice." Right. And I'm like, it feels good to hear that. But this is that's what they would say to anyone or any man who's fit. That's not personal. It doesn't mean anything about me. They don't know me. Right. Likewise, I'm on social media and I'm marketing and I'm helping men, scale their income to $250,000 and work less hours and have more time for themselves and their family. And men get on my social media like, "You're a scammer. You're a scammer." I'm like, "Bro, you don't even know me." Right. So how could one, I'm not scamming, but two, you don't know me. So how could you not like me? Right. And so it's not that they dislike me. It's that this is how they would feel about anybody who is making the claims that I'm making. In reality, the real truth is they don't like themselves. And what they're telling me is that they are focused on being scammed or not being scammed. You can't not focus on something. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. You can't not focus on being scammed. You have to focus on finding someone who you trust to get you where you want to go. Most people's problems is they are focused on what they don't want and they have no idea what they do want. That is the number one problem that I see when I'm talking to people, men and women. And so going back to self-love, self-respect, and self-acceptance, self-love is self-investment, plain and period. And I mean just the little things. So we don't even have to talk about personal development, although that does fall under self-investment and self-love, right?
Yeah.
Love is also, are you drinking water? Are you going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Are you wearing protection? Are you, though all those things to me is self-investment. Are you hanging around people who are positive and who make you feel good about yourself? Right? Or are you spending time with a bunch of negative people who doubt you and keep you thinking small? Right. So that's self-love. Self-love is self-investment. This year alone, I've invested over $100,000 in myself, in coaches, in mentors, in books, in seminars, and all those things. And I've never felt better about me. Right. And what I'm learning is like I'm having podcasts like this and I'm talking to people and I appreciate you letting me be here. But people think all the things I say are so interesting and controversial. It's just like, no, these are the conversations me and my mentors have. I thought just like everybody, I was programmed the same way everybody else was. And so I started questioning things, right? So that's self-love and self-investment. Self-respect is treating yourself with high regard, right? It's treating yourself like someone who you admire, right? And what that does is people see you respect yourself a certain way, and it forces them to treat you a certain way too, right? This is why I say a woman cannot respect you any more than you respect yourself, right? And relationships are built on the basis of respect. That's my opinion. And then self-acceptance is just being willing to take a real deep, hard look at yourself and be honest with yourself and accept whatever it is that you see on the other side of that, right? So again, like I had the relationship with the young lady end and I felt like she doesn't want me. Self-acceptance is this is the young version of me being wounded and coming out today. I had to accept that. There's no reason for me to push that away. There's and not judging yourself, right? Like you could go out here and try to build a business and let's say it doesn't go right how you want and then saying things like, "Oh, I'm a failure." It's like, no, you tried something, it didn't work. That doesn't make you a failure. It just didn't work the way you wanted it to. And you don't fail until you give up, right? So it's being kind to yourself. It's being generous to yourself. It's being honest with yourself and just accepting the reality of what you're seeing going on in your life right now. Like if I was talking to a friend today and I said, bro, if I step on a scale and that bitch breaks, that is me. I have to accept the reality that I'm just fat. I'm overweight. I have too much weight on my body. If the scale breaks, that's self in doing it without judging myself. Instead of saying I'm fat, saying I weigh 450 pounds. I'm fat is a subjective judgment. I weigh 450 pounds is a fact. It is a number. It is an objective depiction of reality. Does that make sense? So that's self-acceptance. It's accepting the things about me that I do or don't like without being judgmental about it.
Gotcha. But so is this though so that I can be happy and go through life? I mean, I guess that's where I'm trying to say these are the most important things that I need to work on. But what's the end reason? I mean, what does that help me do if I have those things?
It helps you live an outstanding life. Okay. An outstanding life, right? And when I say an outstanding life, again, I mean a life where people see things, right? And or they see you doing something and they say, wow, I didn't even know that was possible, right? That's what it helps you do. And I also don't believe that happiness is I don't think it's a good marker. I don't think it's a good benchmark. I don't think it's something we should shoot for, because let's be real, things are going to happen. You're not always going to be happy. Things happen. You're going to, happiness is one feeling. Jealousy is another. Anger is another. Sadness. You're going to experience all these fucking feelings in your life. Okay. So the fact that you're trying to cling to one is like, good luck. What I do believe in though, is deciding what emotion that I feel in any given moment, like showing up with the emotion that is best, right? So when I'm holding my daughter at night, I don't need to be what I need to bring out the nurturing side of me in that moment, right? Or when my son is telling me about something he had a hard day with at school, I need to bring out my empathetic listening side, right? But yeah, I believe I don't try to shoot for happiness. My default emotion is pride. I want to be proud. I want to wake up today, have a list of things that I said I was going to do, and I did it. And I go to bed saying to myself, I kept my word to myself today. Proud, because you can always control what you do in what you say you're going to do and what you do. And if I don't, if I say I'm going to do these 5 things today and I only get 3 done, hey, okay, that's fine. I got 60% of it done. I'm not going to beat myself up. What happened today? You know what? The first 3 things took way more time than what I thought. The third thing was way more challenging in tasking emotionally and physically, and I didn't have any more energy to do the 4th and 5th things. So maybe I put too much on my plate today, right? Either way, I gave my best effort and I'm proud. And I believe that is the better emotion to shoot for.
Okay. And I get that. And I agree with you. Happiness isn't what you should shoot for. That's why, the word I used was greatness, or, you're saying outstanding, a standing being or standing life. And I sure appreciate it. And so thank you for being on today. We are going to do this again. I'm not going to say I agree with everything you say, but I think that's the beauty of why we get to have a conversation, right?
Yep.
Because the more perspectives I have, the more experiences I have, the better man that I can be. And I want to be a great man. I want to be an example. I think you brought that up earlier, is the best example that we possibly can be. I absolutely want to come back and I want to talk about parenting, and I want to talk about, we go there. So, and I know you have opinions on it.
Well, here's the thing. I want to caveat the parenting thing with, I have a 13-year-old, I have a 1-year-old, and I have like a 4-month-old, right? To me, I don't know how good of a parent I am until they're out of my house, right? Gotcha. So everything I'm saying is a guess. So gotcha. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm the world's best parent. I believe the best thing that I could do is lead by example and give an example of success. And so I don't have to worry about my son, being fit and healthy. He sees me being fit and healthy. It's going to make him want to be fit and healthy, type of thing. So as long as I'm being an example of success, I think I'm doing good, and we'll find out. I'll find out 20 years from now.
Gotcha. And that's where I'm at now, right? Because I have 8 children. My oldest is 35, my youngest is 27, and I have 16 grandkids, right? So, I've gone through that phase. So I want to have that conversation about your beliefs and your thoughts and how you want to bring somebody up. I'm a proud dad. I'm a proud grandparent. And, am I the greatest parent, or was I the greatest parent in the world? I don't know. All I could do is be the example that I could be of success.
I don't think any child leaves. And I mean children in poverty, children who come up in opulence, children in the Middle East, children in the West. I don't think any child leaves their parents' home unscathed. I don't think so. I think it's impossible. I think there's no such thing as perfect parenting. And me personally, I say, look, I was not touched as a child. No one touched me. No one did anything appropriate to me. So for that reason, my parents did a good enough job to me.
Well, you're the man that you are today, and
Yes.
doing the things that you do to make this world a better place. So
Yes.
again, thank you. We will talk again. For those of you, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button or
Can I plug my community and my products?
Please. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So, one, if you're a guy who's married, you're making at least $120,000. Your wife works. You're a provider. You're a masculine man who loves being a man, who loves being a provider, but you're burnt out. You're tired of going to a job where you feel like you hate. You're unappreciated. Go follow me on my Instagram. It is at the RPA guy. That's THE, R as in Robert, P as in Paul, A as in Apple. Guy, the RPA guy. Okay. And outside of that, if you're not in tech, or if you're a guy who's not interested in tech or anything like that, you're just interested in the masculinity stuff, then go follow me on Instagram. Or really my school community is called King's Corner, where we focus on self-love, self-respect, self-acceptance. And we're talking about any and everything masculinity. We're talking about how to get your money right, how to get your body right, how to get your relationship with your woman right, but most importantly, how to get your relationship with yourself right, such that everybody else treats you in the same way that you treat yourself. And you can find that Instagram at King's Corner Podcasts. Is that what it is? King's Corner Podcast on Instagram. I'll drop the link so we can make sure they're in
put it on. Make sure we get it in there and it's all there and we send it out. So again, thank you for being on. We're going to have more conversations. And I just appreciate you. Like I said, hit subscribe if you're enjoying these. We are interviewing successful Black men in all circles and all ways. And so just remember that you can do this. There is no reason for you to go through life believing that you're not enough or you can't, and you don't have that self-love, self-respect, and self-acceptance. You got it. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.